crypto and DePIN specifically is the equivalent of the internet in 1997. So just think of the internet in 1997, Facebook and Google and a whole bunch of Amazon, they weren't even born yet as companies. So we're actually still so early in the development of that ecosystem.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Web3 CMO Stories podcast. My name is Yuri Bilast, and I'm your podcast host. And today, I'm really excited to be joined by Dom. Hi, Dom. How are you?
Very well, and thank you for having me.
Yeah, guys, Dom is the second time he's coming on the podcast. Actually, full name, Dominic Carosa. He's the co-founder and the chairman of Hivello, and he has a lot of experience, more than 30 years in business and technology, founding and exiting multiple startups like Banksa, Unit.ai, Apollo Crypto. And as an angel investor and founder of Dominant Venture Partners, he has invested in more than 50 tech companies, so while shaping the future of decentralized infrastructure and Web3 innovation. And I met Dom, was in Austin at Consensus. I really, your project was really something what I need to talk to this guy. And we made an amazing podcast episode, but maybe you missed it. If not, I will put a link in the show notes if people want to go back to there, because a lot of things have happened in the meantime, Dom. So yeah, for people that missed the first episode, can you give us a quick introduction of Hivello and what you're aiming to achieve?
Yeah, so Hivello is a DePIN aggregator. And I'm going to not try and get too technical during the podcast. And the DePIN stands for Decentralized Physical Infrastructure Networks. And the best way to describe Hivello is we're like Airbnb for your computer. So for example, with Airbnb, you've got a spare bedroom or a house and you want to rent out. You have an asset that you want to rent out and earn income. Hivello is basically the same thing, but for your computer. And a computer you can rent out, RAM, your CPU, your GPU, your storage, your IP address. So there's all of these aspects of your computer that you can rent out. And DePIN is the specific category within Web3. And so the whole premise around Hivello, because the space is obviously very complicated and technical, is that we allow you to rent your computer through DePIN protocols, and you as a user are able to earn income, whether it's DePIN tokens, stablecoin, or cash.
Yeah, I love that comparison. Actually, it's not specifically for people that are already in Web3. It's for an everyday user that has a computer that can actually participate in a simple way in DePIN, right?
Absolutely. And for those that are not with what DePIN actually is, I'll give a real life example. DePIN as a concept is about 30 or 40 years old. And there was a group out of the US called NASA that was generating a lot of content, a lot of data through their sat and their telescopes. And they didn't have the internal computing power in terms of processing the data. And so they set up an institute called SETI to try and solve this problem. And I remember as a teenager, I downloaded the SETI application. Every night I would download some NASA data, raw data. It would process and then send it back to NASA. And so that was the first example of what you call distributed computing. And this is obviously pre-blockchain and crypto. And back then the reward was simply if you found a star or a planet, you were actually involved in naming it. Now with crypto and chain technology, you're able to get paid in tokens for sharing your computer resources. So that's that concept, fast forward to where we are today, there's the segment of DePIN that basically allows you to share your computer resources and get paid. And at the same time, building new forms of infrastructure, particularly decentralized infrastructure.
Yeah, it's actually DePIN is one of the hot topics of hot narratives, in the space these days. And you are not the only one who uses this word DePIN and is it that calls themselves a DePIN company. So then I'm wondering, what makes Hivello different from other DePIN platforms in the space?
Well, we're actually the largest, and I guess we got first mover advantage in the space. And the way it works is actually really simple. So people go to hivello.com, they click on Windows, Mac, or Linux, depending on the type of computer that they have. It downloads the software, and the software will work out what kind of RAM, CPU, GPU, and I know these are all technical acronyms, but basically what kind of computer you have, what country you're in, and then it will install and run the best DPINs on your computer to maximize the ROI. And then over time, we're using an AI agent that will optimize the best DPINs in order to maximize the return. So that's how the software works. And from a payment perspective, part of the software is we give people many options. If you're mining 6 or 8 or 10 different DPINs on your computer, you'll be earning DPIN tokens of each of those that you're running on your computer. And so you have a choice as a customer. You can say, I want to transfer those tokens to myself, 8 or 10 different tokens, or I can convert to stable coin like USDT or USDC, or alternatively, I can get paid directly into my bank account. So that just keeps, so ultimately giving customers an option. And then we just recently launched the Hivello, the HVLO token. And so customers of Hivello will also be earning the Hivello token as extra bonus for using the software. And then what customers can do is that they can stake the Hivello token for a yield and a high percentage of the reward. So effectively creating a circular economy.
Yeah, I love that. And congratulations, by the way, with your TGE, as we call it, the token generation event and the Hivello token. Yeah, maybe can you share some more details about that event and what it means for the ecosystem?
In the, let's call it in the traditional equity sense, it would be like listing a company on a stock exchange. But in the blockchain world, you list a token as opposed to the equity. And so we're, as of today, listed on 2 global exchanges, Gate.io and MEXC. And we're also listed on Radium, which is a decentralized exchange on Solana. So there are a number of different ways that consumers out there can buy the Hivello token as part of becoming part of the ecosystem. And then with that token, if they're a user of Hivello, they can stake it and earn a high percentage of the rewards. Or if they're not using Hivello, they can still take the token, stake it, and generate a yield through our platform at hivello.com.
Yeah, I love that. I love the comparison, with the stock market and with dividends that you can get there. Maybe for some of our listeners that are maybe new to Hivello or to know these tokens, can you explain a bit more about staking and rewards and how that works?
Yeah. So from a staking perspective, think of it, and just to maybe use a real life example is you've got, some cash, you go to a bank and you deposit that cash into some kind of term deposit, basically. So you lock your money for a month or 6 months and you generate a yield or a return on those monies. The same concept also exists in the crypto space. And so at Hivello, we've got basically a number of different ways to use our token. One is obviously through staking, where you stake it and you're able to earn a yield on those tokens. Alternatively, if you're a user of our software, you're able to stake it and earn a high percentage of the rewards, because we've got a concept a bit like tiers at airlines, bronze, silver, gold, platinum. So by earning the Hivello token or buying it and staking it, you go up a tier, which means you're able to earn even more from those DePIN protocols that are running, or those DePIN nodes that are running on your machine. A lot of this information is available on our website as well. And we've got a big community on X, and also an even bigger community on Discord that's very, very active. And so if people are new and still getting their dipping their toe in the water with regards to DePIN, they can certainly not only download our software, but they can join our community, and it will basically help teach them, because it can be a little bit daunting at the start for those that are not aware of how DePIN and crypto actually works.
Yeah, I love that you have this community. Of course, is a very important aspect of Web3, and then yeah, there is lots of talk about in the space about creating hype and so on. But what you want is have a stable community, and I've seen this happening with Hivello that you're really growing since the last time we met with your community. Yeah, any tips of any thoughts about that? How the community that you have right now keeps on engaging all the time?
Yeah, as of today, we've got about 18,000 nodes running, and that's growing. That's up over 400% since December. So the number of nodes are growing, and conversely, the number of community members is growing as well. And this whole segment of DePIN, I'm very passionate about it because in my view, it's creating decentralized networks goes back to the ethos of the internet. When the internet really began and became main in the mid 90s, everything was decentralized. So if I had built a website, I would host it at home on my computer or at the office. And then over time, from Web 1 to Web 2, things became much more centralized. And now what's happening with the advent of blockchain, things are becoming decentralized again. And for me, that's a very important point. And the reason is because we now as consumers, as individuals, not only have an ability to be our own bank, whether it's with Bitcoin or other tokens, but we can also be part of running the infrastructure of the future, whether it's storage infrastructure or AI training infrastructure, and actually getting rewarded. When I say rewarded, getting paid to run the network. Major philosophical change compared to where it's been in the past. And so it just means people, whether you're in the Western world or in an emerging market, you can actually earn income. And we basically say this, like to say this, you can actually make money while you sleep. So you just you leave your computer on, let it process all the data, a bit like the NASA and SETI example, and then earn those particular tokens. And we think that's a really important point in regards to building out decentralized infrastructure. And frankly, I think DePIN as a category will bring in the next 100 million people, Web 2 people, into Web 3.
That's exciting. And yeah, if you can say that to people, make money while you're sleeping, that's, who wouldn't want that, right? So if people that are now listening and they are really curious, oh, I want to sign up for Hivello, I want to try out Hivello, how can they install and start using the Hivello app?
So it's super simple. People go to hivello.com. They'll see a screen. They basically click on Windows, Mac, or Linux, depending upon the system that they're running, the software install. They then just have to log in with their username or Gmail. So it's a very simple process to log in. And then the computer, the Hivello system does the rest. And that's really what we've tried to do because once again, without wanting to get too technical, but maybe for those Web3 users out there, typically, if you were to do this without Hivello, you need to download the software. It's likely you need to use Docker or Kubernetes. One is a containerization, another one is an orchestration platform. Most people don't even know what those software platforms are. You need to be able to set up wallets, both and dealing with private and public keys. You need to have the native token of that DePIN. You need to have the L1, the layer one for gas, whether it's Solana or Ethereum or Arbitrum. And so in that respect, that takes a lot of time and energy and knowledge on how to actually do it. And so what we've done at Hivello is tried to make the software look and feel like using Spotify or iTunes, basically point and click. And in our view, that's how DePIN and how Web3 needs to be in order for it to become mass market, where the average person can actually get involved in Web3 as an industry. And so what we're doing, and I'm very passionate about this, being part of the process of bringing the next 100 million people into DePIN in the Web3 space.
Yeah, well, and as you said, it's really easy to install because I have a Mac. It's like 1, 2, 3. It's easy steps to do. But I'm also wondering if people now install the app, how does the app determine which DePIN protocols are the best suited for the user's device?
And that's where I guess our own proprietary data and AI comes in. And so we've got still a number of steps that we need to take, but what we've done is basically once again, without getting too technical, built a data cube that our AI will basically look at and try and work out what are the best DPINs to run on each person's machine. So personalizing the DPIN experience based upon existing on-chain data, as well as proprietary data that we're generating from all the nodes that are running in the space. And so by running Hivello, you're basically dealing with crypto, you're touching AI. And so there's multiple touch points, technology touch points. But at the same time, you don't need to know any of that to be able to run Hivello. And so part of our roadmap is you can even download the software. You can select to get paid in fiat currency, which means into your bank account, and you don't even need to touch crypto. That's part of our roadmap. And we think that's important in terms of bringing Web 2 users into Web 3. And at some point, there'll be a percentage of those customers that say, actually, don't pay me in fiat. I want to understand what a stable coin is, or I want to understand what a DePIN token is and how to use it. And so this is a way that people can actually get involved in crypto without spending any money, because the app is free. And the way that we make money as an organization is that we take a revenue share of all the tokens that are being mined on your computer. So our interests are aligned with the interest of our customer. And it's basically a revenue share type basis. So we're absolutely aligned with our community and our users out there.
So you don't need an investment to participate. Everyone with a device, that has some, I would say, processor room on their computer could participate on their device. Now, are there any eligibility criteria for the airdrop of these tokens?
Yeah, I should have spoken about the airdrop. So part of being an early user at Hivello is that you'll be part of the airdrops over the next 12 months and hopefully beyond. And what an airdrop basically means is that we are rewarding our customers, our community, for running the Hivello software above and beyond the DePIN tokens that they're mining. There's a concept in Web3 DePIN called the cold start. So basically trying to build networks from a cold start, from zero. And so using crypto and tokens as a way of incentivizing people to install and run the software and actually get paid, in this case, the Hivello token. And so we've got a number of different airdrops. So the way it works from a process perspective is you run Hivello and you'll see a little points counter at the top. So you're earning points the more you're running the system. And then at each airdrop, we convert those points into Hivello tokens that you can then you can stake and a yield. You can just keep them, or you can basically go onto a platform like Gate, MEXC, or Radium and actually sell those tokens. So it's up to you as a consumer what you want to do with those Hivello tokens once you've got them.
So I understand there are different ways how to earn these tokens, and they are, when are they distributed actually? It's actually when it's a certain goal or a certain criteria that is met.
Yeah, so all you basically need to do to be part of the airdrop is to be running Hivello on your machine. And frankly, in order to really be part of that ecosystem, it's really important that people keep their computers on 24/7. And this is why we encourage people to use your spare desktop and laptop. Just have it sitting in the corner somewhere of your office or at home, basically just connected to power and internet. And it will basically be processing all of that data. And then there's a website you log into and you can see the number of points that you've earned. You can see the number of USDT. We actually convert all the DePIN token earnings into USDT because it's just a common language. Everyone understands USDT, basically the US dollar. And then obviously there'll be a Hivello counter at some point in time to show you how many Hivello tokens you earn. But the best thing to do for those people out there that are looking at dipping their toe in the water with regards to DePIN is download Hivello and let the software run and do it itself on your behalf.
Cool. Yeah, I already did that, but people now listening, be sure to do it. The link will be in the show notes in the podcast article. So you mentioned about this period for the airdrop eligibility, but what happens after that? So if people, will there be additional rewards for people that continue contribute, with a resource?
Yeah, we've got, so part of our TG, our token generation event, or listing our token, is that we've allocated about a third of all of the tokens. And so we're talking about billions and billions of tokens that over the next 4 years will vest and will be used as a way of reward our community for running the Hivello system. And so we've got this pool of tokens. Basically, think of it as end of the day money, but it's digital money, it's cryptocurrency that we will be using to incentivize people to run the Hivello nodes, run the Hivello system. And so, with that vests over the next 4 years. So I'm basically expecting that over the next 4 years, as we build out the business, people will get rewarded in the native DePIN tokens that they're mining, as well as the Hivello token. And so once again, just trying to create a circular economy, because you can then take those DePIN tokens or those Hivello tokens and stake them and actually earn a yield. And once again, all of these kinds of features over time, we will implement into the Hivello software. So that way you can, once again, just set and forget and be part of the ecosystem and essentially make money while you sleep.
Yeah, I love that. I see you're very passionate and very ambitious. And so I love that. And I'm also curious then what is next for Hivello now that the TGE took place or is taking place. What can users expect in terms of future growth and development of Hivello?
Right now, we're continuing to make improvements to our software, the ability to pay out in multiple stable coins, as well as cash, as in fiat payments into people's bank accounts. That's obviously an important part. Continuing to add new DePIN nodes into the Hivello software. Right now, as of today, there's 7 DePINs that we have integrated. Our target by Christmas 2025 is to have around 50 of the best DePINs integrated into our software, and then obviously let AI optimize for maximum ROI, and plenty of partnerships. We have a number of partnerships out there. We're working with multiple exchanges, multiple L1s, as in layer 1 blockchains, on multiple partnerships. So it's just a way that we can get the Hivello brand out there, and at the same time, continuing to build our community, because really the community is at the backbone of what we're doing in the space. And so, we've got a very active community on Discord, even on X. But Discord is where people get obviously very vocal, which is great, because as I say, the feedback is the breakfast of champions, and we love getting feedback from our customers, because ultimately we are creating the product for the community, and so getting the feedback and that feedback loop is super important to us. But at the same time, we are just so early in the development of this ecosystem. Because sometimes people say, about crypto and also DePIN is, have I missed out? Is it too late? And I was actually at a conference, and it was a lady from a research firm, and she gave the analogy, just in terms of the number of users, crypto and DePIN specifically is the equivalent of the internet in 1997. So just think of the internet in 1997, Facebook and Google and a whole bunch of Amazon, they weren't even born yet as companies. So we're actually still so early in the development of that ecosystem. And this is why it pays to be early and on the leading edge. And ultimately what we're doing at Hivello is helping bring Web 2 users into Web 3, because obviously we're very passionate about decentralization, giving people an option to be their own bank and build and run their own infrastructure and getting paid for it. So, ultimately cutting out the middleman, or the middle corporations, as we like to say.
So that's a good message at the end of the episode. So we are still very early. So you need to make your feet wet, as I always say, and start diving in with a solution like Hivello, which makes it really easy to start being a part of Web3. I think that's a good step to do. Any last message that you want to give to our audience, Dominique?
I think I think you summed it up really well as a way of getting your feet wet, which is download the software, start the process, see how easy it is. Because I mean, just to give you some insight in terms of stats, as of yesterday, when I looked at the data, one person is running on average 1.8 Hivello nodes. So what does that mean? And this is once again feedback that we got from the community. I set up a node at home on my computer, and then I'll set up one up at my girlfriend's house, my aunties and uncles, my parents' house, my sister's house. And so we've actually got people in the community that are running multiple nodes across multiple people and just basically managing that whole process. And that's all really important, because the more computers there are, millions of computers around the world that are forming part of decentralized networks, the stronger those networks are, and ultimately the more revenue that will flow into DePIN.
Well, yeah, that's totally makes sense, of course. And it's a really good sign that people, they try with one device and then they put it on another device because they see it's working, and they are excited. Yeah, I think you're building something really amazing, Dom. Now, if people, okay, they can go to the website, I guess. They want to try out Hivello. If they want to join the communities and so on. Yeah, where would you like me to send them as a first step?
Go to hivello.com, and from there you can go to X, Discord, or Telegram, and then just be part of our community. And we'd encourage as many people to join as possible.
Amazing. Well, Dom, it was such a pleasure to have you on the podcast again.
Thank you very much for having me.
Guys, what an amazing episode. And I just love how Dom explains his concept in easy terms, in simple terms. So actually, there is no reason why you shouldn't make your feet wet, as we always say, and try out Hivello, because it's just a no-brainer. So if you think this episode and Hivello is really interesting for users or people around you, friends, family, other entrepreneurs, marketers, be sure to share this episode with them. If you're not yet following the show, this is a really good moment to do this. If you haven't given me a review yet, these 5 stars would help me reach an even. And of course, I would like to see you back next time. Take care.